Okay, it's week 7. We're almost done. It's still really hot. I have a confession to make. I was on vacation earlier this week. My brain's still kind of on vacation. So I'll probably be even less coherent than usual. But hey, it's all on video. So let's see here. So let's start out with Prime Minister's questions, and then here I'll lower my screen so I can see a little bit. And then let's see here. I want to talk some GWT stuff, and let's figure out what you need, and I'll try best to provide that. And then the final exams next week, so I want to say a couple words about that too. But I think that's like on my agenda tonight. So first question.
So I was looking on the website for last week's lectures.
Yeah.
And I didn't find them anywhere.
The screencast. Oh, it would probably help if I had the screen up.
For the past 2 weeks, I did the screencast option. There's no screencast for week 5.
Try doing shift reload, perhaps. I don't feel dumb. This is a learning opportunity. What? Oh, AV mute. Who puts AV mute on? I mean, really. I probably shouldn't look straight in the projector. There we go. Warming up. Sorry about that. I just got over here a little bit late. So yeah. No, I put the screencasts up. Yep. Here they are under week 6. Are you seeing them now after you did the shift reload? They're also on the YouTube channels for this. So if you go to any of the screencasts, hi everybody, it's Dave. Right, yeah. In my head, I sound like a Muppet, and probably in my mouth, I sound like a Muppet also. But yeah, they're all over here in the playlist on the right. So yeah, in case either I forget to or whatever, they should all be over there. There's a lot of stuff on that screen. Okay. So, yep, that's where the screencasts are. So, let's see here. Project 4, I think pretty much everybody's finished up that. Does anybody remember their Project 4? Any thoughts that you've had in the last week in terms of the client-server code and things that you learned and want to share? Maybe some still questions that linger? It's all about Project 5? No, it was up. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure this is as intended, but I got dinged twice for the same thing because 2 tests tested the same thing.
Was it the search functionality? It's kind of key to Project 4, so yeah, I'm kind of cool for that.
Test, though, just different dates. Like, should have returned 2 items instead of 3. Should have returned 1 item instead of 3. Like, it's the same test.
It was a different query range, but yeah. Yep. Anything else on Project 4? Nope. Okay. So, Project 5, Google Web Toolkit. So we saw a bit of it last week. So last week we walked through what comes with the archetype, and we saw how to debug your Google Web Toolkit application. We saw how to test your GWT application. I hope that in the last couple of days you've had an opportunity to start exploring it. I had a couple people at office hours. They had some questions. Hopefully we give them some good information. What can I show you tonight? What questions do you have that we can answer together as a group to give you more confidence in working on your Project 5 over the next week? Yes?
How are you going to test Project 5? It doesn't seem like you can test it like you can test it.
Yeah. So how am I going to test Project 5? I'm going to test it manually, and I do it. The graders don't do it. So this is my weekend that I'm spending grading your Project 5s. And if it's hot and I'm grumpy, you know, no, I'm not grumpy. Yeah, no. I'm always hot and grumpy. Yeah, basically what I'm going to do is I've got, test cases that honestly look a lot like test cases for your projects 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you can imagine, it's stuff like adding a phone bill and looking at your help and, doing searching and stuff like that, right? So same kinds of pieces of functionality that I'm going to be exercising but through your user interface. And while I'm not going to really grade the aesthetics of it, a portion of the grade has to do with the usability. So if I have to struggle to figure out where do I put the date in, that's you might lose a little bit for that. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, it's sort of the same functionalities expressed in a different way. So as you can imagine, the test will be similar, and it's all manual. Okay. Other questions about Project 5? Yes.
Do next Wednesday or next Friday?
Is due next Wednesday or Wednesday, Friday. So I'm hoping to get a head start on them. So I'd encourage you to submit them early. If it comes in on Friday, you'll probably get one grading. So then if if there's a problem or something, there might not be enough time to get feedback. So the thing is that there's sort of a hard end to the course. And I think grades are due like on Tuesday of week after next. And my Monday is like really, really packed. So realistically, I need to have everything done by Sunday night. So I'll try my best to get feedback to you quickly, but there are a lot of you. And so, I encourage you to, work on it, submit, when you think it's ready, and I'll try to get your feedback. And so the earlier you get it in, the more likely it is that you'll get feedback, enough time to address it and resubmit. Okay.
How should error handling?
How should error handling work? Well, do you mean like what the user should experience for there? Okay, so bubble dialog, right? Error if it's like a brief message. If it's something bigger, then you can either have like a in-app modal dialog. That's probably the most preferable. And I suppose you could also have like if you just print to the screen, I got sneezed, sorry, or maybe not. Or just print to a text field or something. That's also okay. But probably something like, you entered in a bad date. You could do an error dialog. You could also have visual feedback like, I don't know, turning something red or putting an exclamation point someplace or whatever. Those are all, I think, reasonable ways. As long as there is some visual indication, as long as the user, me, can tell that, I put in a bad date and I'm alerted to that fact. Yep.
In your view, what are the portions of this program that should be in the server? Because it seems like we could put pretty much the entire thing in the client. If we were
Yes.
inclined, which seems like bad design.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So what portions of the program should be in the client? What portions of the program should be in the server? Well, let's see here. There are some things that are sort of inherent to the client, like the README, right? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to call the server to get the text of the README. That should all be baked into the UI. There should be validation, certainly in the UI, of all of the data that's input. So, dates and times and things like that. With GWT, you get basically. You might even get all of your, at least all of the date time validation, depending on the objects that you pass back and forth. If you pass back Java util dates back and forth between the client and the server, then all the validation sort of happens as part of serialization, so you need to validate it on the server side. Pretty printing could happen on the client side, or it could happen on the server side. I kind of leave that up to you as a design choice. Now, on the client side, it might be a little less bandwidth. Then you put a little bit more onus on the browser. It's probably, for this assignment, it's probably 6 1/2 dozen the other. In the real world, there might be other things to take into consideration. The searching could be implemented on the client side. That one, though, I think I'd probably choose to put it on the server side, right? Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, these are all decisions, and there aren't any right or wrong. I guess one thing to take in consideration is that just the same way that when you're in Project 4, when your command line client exited, in Project 5, when you reload the page, you reload the rich internet application, it loses all of its state, unless you're storing some cookies and blah, blah, blah. But there's the state on the server side. So if you're creating multiple, well, really all the time that you add phone calls to all your phone bills, all that needs to be stored on the server side, right? So that when you reload the page, that data is still there. Yep. Oh, that's a good question. Good. That's a good design question about your Project 4. Are there any other sort of designy type things that maybe you're wrestling with? Yes?
Since we're zipping up the entire project to submit to you, are we able to add like Java X constraints?
Oh.
To some of these serializable
Yeah. So, yeah, this is interesting because you don't use a submit program because, you got to change the HTML file. Yes, if you want to add stuff to the POM, I think Aaron and I have been going back and forth on that. Yes, you can. If you want to play with some of the annotations and stuff, those, you can. Yeah, feel free to experiment with those. That's the kind of thing about Project 5. It's way more open-ended. And so then, on the one hand, you don't have all of the crazy expectations of the command line like you have in other projects. But you're kind of freed from that. Yeah, so you can do whatever you want. And so so there's more things that to play with, either different widget sets or add your own CSS, everything. Yes, be creative. Okay, good. Okay, so there aren't any higher level design things. What are some of the sort of the lower level tactical coding things that you're encountering? Are there been things that have surprised you? Things you're still scratching your head on? Yeah.
So I had a pretty major issue when I tried to build a phone call on the server side. If you use the date format doesn't exist in the GWT library.
Yes.
So they have something analogous called datetime formatter.
Mm-hmm.
Datetime format.
Yep.
So when you try to build it on the server side, it will blow up on you.
Yes.
It has something to do with the fact that deep down inside one of the methods that it uses, there's literally a comment in there that says in all caps must fix.
No way, really?
Nice.
Nice.
It does not work. I spent far too long trying to figure out how to make
Damn it.
work.
Okay.
If you pass full phone call, which is what GWT is all about, to the server and then back, you're fine. If you're trying to build a phone call with a format on the server side, it will blow up every single time.
Right. So even though you're not invoking methods of the format, just having that class there. Oh, that's pretty awful.
If you try to use the format on the server side, hold on.
Okay, and so then your question is what am I supposed to do about that? Or you're just damn it, that sucks. Go find who needs to fix this and go fix it.
No, just avoid that.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Right. Yeah. So one of the challenges of this project is that you've had code that whether it's your get start time string or whatever, that thing that uses that in projects 3 and 4 use the simple date format, use the date format.short, or you've got your pretty printer that probably is using Java's built-in date formatting APIs. They're not available in GWT, and so if you want to use those things on the client side, yes, then you need to use GWT's version of those things that will get compiled down into JavaScript. And that's all part of the fun, is figuring out, okay, I'm running in this different environment. How do I deal with it? It really does suck though that it affects your phone call or your phone call class. So I guess what I would do, and maybe we can see an example of that. I don't know. Is sort of abstract out that functionality, and then depending on whether you're running on the client side or the server side. And maybe even then it wouldn't work with serialization. I'm not too sure how to solve that the best way of solving that. I'm sure you'll come up with good ideas. Okay. What else? Last week we covered a lot about those service objects and the GWT RPC, the calling back and forth between the client and the server. How are people feeling about that? Are there any questions that you have? Are there any sort of aha moments that you had when working with those with the GWT RPC, with the calling the remote objects? know, blank, sweaty stares. I completely understand. Okay. Ben, did you have something? Yeah.
It's very, very similar to protobuf, except they took out all the other parts that you could mess up and replaced it with the protobuf compiler.
You know, yeah, it is. Yes, it is like protobuf. So for those of you who aren't familiar, protobuf is this little. It's not a markup language. What do you call it? It's like for writing structs. Basically, it says, "Oh, look, I've got a struct that has a couple of 32-bit integers, and it's got a string, and it's got this thing." And you sort of take that format of, okay, I've got this data type, if you will, and then you can take that description and compile it. Well, or from it you can generate like code for any programming language, like Java or .NET or Go or whatever, that will then be able to read and write, serialize and deserialize that data. And that's cool for when you're passing data in between different programs in different languages, potentially. And GWT serialization is a little bit like that. Yeah, except that sort of what you're describing is on both ends is Java objects. Okay, cool. Okay. Any questions on Project 4 before we sort of do more GWT stuff? Okay. So I was thinking about. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
So, not project related. The final is in class.
I'll get to the final after we do some code. Yeah, it's time to keep you sitting in class, right? Because it's really hot. Okay. So I was thinking about what I wanted to do tonight in class, and what I'd like to do is explore more GWT with you guys. And I was thinking what I did a couple weeks ago with Project 4, where I started implementing it. And I think that was very useful for a lot of people, but I didn't feel super great about it. It's like, I'm writing it, and then, I don't know, I was glancing at some of the submissions, and I'm like, that code looks kind of familiar, because I kind of wrote it. Which was fine, but it's like, that's not really the learning experience that I want to create. So I was trying to figure out how to balance the two, how to introduce you guys enough to GWT to help work through some of these questions that you have, to sort of show you how you go about building a GWT application without actually building the Project 5 for you, because I really want this to be a learning experience for you. So here's what we're going to try tonight. I built out more of the Pac-Man kata. Remember that from last week, right? Little Pac-Man program. And I thought what I'd do is I'd write a GWT app that does Pac-Man. Okay? And so we'll see how that works. And I think I'll be able to touch on many of the concepts and applications of those concepts in GWT that I think you'd apply in your project. So, okay. So here I have my my source code, my repository, and I created a branch called Pac-Man GWT kata. So if you're looking for the source code, it's not on master; it's off on this branch. And this has a couple of things. This is actually created off of the Pac-Man kata branch, which has my Pac-Man kata implementation. So let me go find that. And here's what I ended up doing. I implemented my my game board class the rest of the way. I guess it's here in Pac-Man test. To do all sorts of Pac-Man things like hey, eat to change direction and eat pellets and keep score, all that kind of good stuff. So I think I fleshed out all the functionality. I didn't bother to create a screencast, with just me coding at some strange hour in the morning, and everything seemed to work okay in my unit tests. And then I wrote a main method that creates sort of a pre-built board, and then I read from standard in, and I move Pac-Man along the board using VI key bindings, of course. So, because why not, right? This program totally looks like it was written in like 1978. But anyway, so okay, I can move, Pac-Man across, and you can see him going, et cetera, et cetera. You can see the score increasing by 10 every time Pac-Man eats a pellet. You get stuck here, and then you can move up. Anyway, so okay, this is neat. It all works and everything. Hours and hours of fun. I could make so much in quarters. And Chuck E. Cheese's in 1983. Okay. Anyway, that's fun. And believe me, when you get to the end, it wins and it exits. So this is cool. This is a command line interface. Yeah, there are lots of ways to spiff it up and everything like that. But I want something more. So I want a GWT interface. I want a rich internet application, and I want to implement it in GWT. So here's what I did. To get me, oops, no, wrong window. To get me started, I created a GWT. I used the archetype. I created a new GWT application. I renamed a whole bunch of stuff to Pac-Man. Although sort of the guts of it still references the phone bill class and stuff like that. So let me run that real quick. This probably needs to be. Oops. Say Java Summer. Oops. Java Summer 2018. Pac-Man GWT. Okay, so now if I do Maven GWT run, so let's run it in dev mode. Let's do ourselves some deving. It's loading. Launch default browser. It's compiling it. So I was worried, is it going too long? Okay, so the phone bill stuff, and that's totally cool. Okay, we know all that's working. So I'm thinking about my user interface, and so let's go back to my trusty drawing here. And I want to see here. What I want is I really want two screens. I want one screen for editing the board. So I want to be able to create the board in one screen. I want to click a button and have it go and play the game. So let's see here. I've really got kind of two things going on here. So I'm going to have one screen that I'll eventually go to a different screen. I recommend you use Balsamic. I'm just drawing stuff in Google Slides. So let's see here. What do I want it to look like? Yeah, I can have some labels and stuff like that. I can say edit Pac-Man board. And here I want to have an editable text area where I can draw my board. Oh, I guess what I also want is I want a couple of buttons, and I want some labels and stuff. So I want to have So I want to have. I guess I also want a text box, a label that says width. Oops. Then I'll have another one for height, and then I want to have some. I want a couple of text boxes for these. This will be a one-dimensional text box, so one row of text. Oops, that should be height. And so, I can have a board which is, 16 high by 20 wide. And then here, I want to be able to draw my board, so, just have a whole bunch of pluses and maybe a secret passageway or whatever. Oops. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to have a text box over here I can use to edit it, and then I guess I want like a button or something. Well, maybe I'm not really thinking too much about the layout right now. And then maybe a button which is something like play game. Oops. Play game. Anyway, it'll all be pretty. Oops. Etc. Etc. And then when I click this, then I where are my arrows? Those are connectors, right? Oops. Arrows. Oh, arrows. Then clicking this moves over to this guy right here. Oops, make it a little bigger so you can see it. Then that transitions to the other screen, which has the board. And Pac-Man's on here someplace. Oops. And this little thing's over here. We'll just display it as an uneditable text field, and then here we'll have like oops. No. There we go. Oh, we'll display the score up here. And then this will be 0 initially, and then as you move around. Oh, and then we also need to figure out how to move around. I could have buttons for that. That's super hokey. What I really want to do is I want to use key events in this right here, which is probably not something you do on your assignment, but we'll learn about it here. So then I'll just have like a little comment someplace. Let's see here. What do you got for fun shapes? Maybe like a little, I don't know, shape. A call out, like maybe a little thought balloon, like something like this. So it's like, it's like on the electric company from the 70s. So it's like, press to move around. Okay. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking about in my head. So I wanted to draw it for you guys to sort of give you an idea of what this might look like. So I'm going to try to build this in GWT. Okay. So, did I ever get my program running? Did I ever launch this in default browser? Oh, I did. Yeah. And so is this it right here? It is. Okay. So let's start coding. As a matter of fact, I want to put this right next to my drawing, so that, I can see it right next to each other, so I'll remember what it is. Okay, so let's go back to the code. And Pac-Man GWT is my main object, or my main class here. So let's see here. Okay, I need to clean a whole bunch of stuff up first in my UI, and I need to get rid of like all the tests that will fail when I remove these. So let's see here. Getting rid of all these buttons. Here's the integration test. So I don't know if I'm going to have time to write an integration test. I don't know. I'll consider it, but I'll just get rid of all of this stuff in the meantime. Actually, I think I was going to comment it out, because if I do write tests, I'll want to know how to do it. So just comment all that out in the meantime, and then saying good, it can be private. Well, that's great, because it's just going to go away. Alert on exception. Well, that probably sounds kind of useful. Unwrap umbrella exception sounds useful. Add widgets is going to do something completely different now. Okay, so I'm just going to delete a whole bunch of this code that was there in the archetype. I probably don't need these ones either. Don't worry about it. They're private. Cleaning up. And you probably need to do something similar in your projects, right? So, shown phone bill. No, I'll deal with that some other way also. Okay, on module load, I want to keep all this uncaught exception handling. Okay, that's good. So now if I reload my app, I probably don't see anything because I don't add any widgets. Okay, that's what I expect. Okay, what's the first thing I want to do? I want to have a edit Pac-Man board. Okay. So here in my setup UI, here in add widgets to the panel, the vertical panel. So the first thing in my vertical panel, I want a label. And this is, sorry, what did I call that thing again? Edit Pac-Man board. Okay, so let's call, I don't know, welcome. Equals new label, edit Pac-Man board. Don't need a new line. And I'll say panel.add the welcome. Oops. Let me make sure that much works. Okay. Okay. And okay. Now I need that next line, which has several things. It's got the width and the height, and it's got the play game button. Okay. So remember the three sort of steps of building a user interface. Step 1, create all your widgets. Step 2, lay them out. Step 3, hook them all together and have them do things by registering event handlers. So right now we're kind of in the step 1, step 2, where we're we're putting our event handlers together. So next thing I'm going to want is the width, the height, and the play game button. So I'm going to want all of those. They're being laid out right now in a vertical panel, but those I want to put in a horizontal panel. So I'll put a horizontal panel, and I'll have that be, I don't know, buttons. Input settings. There you go. Settings. I like that. Equals new horizontal panel. And let's see here. The next thing I want is a width. So settings.add and new label for width. And then I'm going to add a new button named, not button, a text box. Text box. I'm going to add a new label height. HIGHT. I'm going to add one of these and duplicate, move it down. And then I'm going to add a new button. And I'm going to call it play game. Play game. Okay. So you see what I'm doing here. I'm writing Java code to. Oh, duh. And then I've got to say panel.add settings. Yes.
Does all this stuff kind of exist outside of our TDD process? Like, do all this setup stuff first?
Oh, very good question. So how to TDD this? Wow, I hadn't thought of that. There's not a lot of logic right now. So the style that I'm writing this in doesn't play nicely to rapid TDD. So if you look at, this is a great question, thank you. If you look at the, I still have a screencast for it. If you look at the Advanced WT lecture, I talk about a programming pattern called MVP, Model View Presenter, that is a way of decoupling your UI code such that all the business logic is a set of classes that can be tested outside of having real widgets, and this allows you to do it very quickly. Remember when we saw last time the integration test, you got to start this whole like GWT infrastructure and run all of your HTML and some of the simulation and stuff like that, and that's slow. You don't get the rapid turnaround that you would with TDD. I'm not following that design pattern because there's a lot of concepts that you need to understand. I think it'd be a little too much right now. But yeah, if I was doing it for real, and when I write like some of the swing UIs that I use for the grading and for the gradebook and stuff like that, and for like the POA grading and stuff, that is implemented using MVP. I take a very different approach because I do test-driven development there. But right now, I guess what I really want to make sure that you guys understand is how to do this stuff in GWT, the finer points of doing it test-driven development, using test-driven development. I'll leave that as an exercise to the student. Good. Good. Okay, there it is. I need some better spacing and stuff like that, but I'll deal with that later. Oh, I don't like these big, long labels. So this text box, I'll just move this into, what's this one? This will be width. I wonder why I wanted to call it W. And I want to say width dot set width, set max length. I want that to be 2. Yeah. And then also width dot set visible length. Also be 2. Let's see what that does. Ah, there you go. That looks nicer. And so then I'll do the same thing for the height down here. And just copy all that. Height and height. Oops. Oh, oops, I did the label instead of the text box. Bad. Meh. Inline that again. Extract the right variable this time. Height. There. Okay. Looking a little better now. Okay. Okay, the next thing that we need, and you know what? I'm going to. This method's getting a little long for my liking, so I'm going to put all of this in its own method. I'm going to call it create settings panel. Nice. And actually, I don't need that as a variable, so I can just do that. Yes. Okay. And now the last thing is to say panel.add new text box, the text area. And that should be this. Okay. So let's quick take a step back and see what we did. So I cleaned out all the old code that we didn't want anymore, and I started writing some GWT code. And so the way you do this is you just write Java and use the GWT objects, classes, for representing things on the screens, like label. And so we create a label. We create this whole settings panel thing, which gives you this whole horizontal panel right there. And so then as you can see, it's kind of hard to read, so let me make it a little easier to read. Again, and this is what sort of the pattern is in GWT when you're building all your UI with Java, is that you create a container like a horizontal panel and you add some widgets to it, like labels and text boxes and text areas, and you configure the UI widgets along the way. So okay, hey, this one we only want to be 2 characters wide. So you get 1, 2, and you can't do anything else because it only supports up to 2. And that's nice. It's sort of like all that kind of functionality is just encapsulated there in the widget. Okay, I'm let's see here. I'm just going to save where I'm at right now. What unversioned files? Yeah, those should be ignored. Okay, so let's see here. I'll just say added some simple UI widgets for editing a game of Pac-Man. Commit those off. Yep. Okay. So this isn't very interesting right now, right? When I click play game, nothing happens, and I don't have a way of controlling the board, the size of the board. So let's do the following. Let's focus on configuring the size of the of the board. And let's give it a default height and width. Let's do that. As a matter of fact, let's even give it a built-in board. I think that'll make it a little easier to... It'll make it a little faster for us to do things with it. So, so let's do that. So let's say, let's see here, the default width, let's just have like a 6x6 board, something really small. So width, oops, not switch. Width dot set value. We're going to have it be 6, and height dot set value. Set value is also going to be 6. And then that's that, and then the text area. So this is going to be the, I'll call it game editor. I'll call it editor. Is a text area, and editor dot set value. Yeah, okay. So now, so that 1, 2, 3, 4. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. See, I think let's have new lines at the end, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a total of 6. So we'll do that. Oops. We'll just do that, and then we'll just carve ourselves out a very simple board. Oops, no, I wanted that there. Okay. Oh, and then replace spaces with dots. Let's try that. Oh, I also need to set the height. Yeah. Ah, and it's not fixed with font. Okay. I need to then the editor set width. And is that what I want? Wait. Set. Sorry, what?
Set character width.
Thank you. Character width. Character width is 6. Editor set height. Thank you. Visible lines. Someone has been doing this before, and more recently than I have, apparently. Thank you. Okay, so we want this. Great. And now I need to figure out how to get that affixed with height, affixed with font. So this is where Google is your friend. So GWT text box fixed with font. I get the width, font size for can't be set. Because it's going to look really lousy if I don't have that.
There's a set width.
There is, but I think that's of the actual. That's like the pixel size of it. But we can check. I'm actually. Can you just do something like set font? No. Set width. Oh, it doesn't have the download sources. Yeah, so this is the pixels. I've done this before. Let's see here. GWT button, GWT text box. Okay, so I need to put this in the CSS. I don't think I have a CSS file in the archetype. Nope, I don't. When I probably should have looked up how to do it before class.
Use some inline CSS.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, you can do inline CSS. Yeah, that's probably a good enough cheat. Yeah, let's look at the GT box, and let's see here the style rules. Oh, read only, that's cool. Set style, yeah. Set style. Dependent name, set style name. set visible, set element. Well, set style name. What does this do? Clears all of the style names. No, that's not really what I want. I thought there used to be a way to set the style, just like directly. No, I should probably do it the right way, which is in the which is in a CSS file. Okay, so anybody else do that? Anybody do this yet? Add a CSS file to their GWT project? Well, maybe it's a good lesson. I'll learn it too. Okay, GWT add CSS style to text box. Oh. Thank you, Stack Overflow. Oh, really? Like, write your own. That's super weird. Oh, you get the... Okay, that's how you do it. Okay, so you get the HTML element of it. Okay, so can I do that? Get element dot set attribute, set ID, set style? Well... Oh, get style, gives you style object, and then is there a font? Set font style. Font style, yeah. No. Normal oblique, no. I want, what do I want? I want to, okay, so how do you do a fix with font? Fix with font, fix with CSS, fix with font, CSS. Okay, yeah, monospace, is that what they call it? Font family, a font family, right. And we probably want font, sorry, what? Font family monospace. Yeah. Yep, font family monospace. Okay. Thank you. Font style, so set font family. Nope. Style, size. Okay, so maybe there's not a nice way to do it. Style, size, and weight. Okay, those are the ones that are built in. Okay, so I guess I only have to, I can't set the family in programmatically. Does everybody agree with that? Oh, wait, is there an add style? Add style? Add class name. Okay, so I have to do this. I have to do this the hard way. That's okay. Okay, so add CSS to GWT. So here's how you do it. You basically, override the font family. And, oh, I can just do it. Okay, yeah, I can do it. I don't have to add a CSS file. I can just do it in the HTML file. Duh. Where's the Pac-Man index? Or actually, yeah, it's the Pac-Man GWT HTML. Excellent. So, so you put it up here. Does style go in the body? I can't remember. It must. Okay. Nope. Oh, in the head. Yeah. Style, text, CSS. Okay, so then dot. Go back to the API docs, which is somewhere in my browser history. And I want both of these. Right. And I want font family monospace, serif, sure. And same thing for read-only, FontFamily, monospace, serif. I have no idea if this is going to work. Nope. Huh, I wonder why. Tools, developer tools, elements. Oh, where's the, there it is. Is that it? Yeah, inspect that. GBT text area. GBT text area. Oh, it didn't. Because what I want to say over here is FontFamily monospace. Oops. Did I spell that right? Is monospace spelled right? Oh, text area. Oh, that's why. Try that. Nope, still didn't take. So let's see here. Element.style, GWT-text area from standard. So, oh, I wonder if I need to restart dev mode. That's why. Okay, so when I reload, it doesn't get changes to the HTML file. Okay, so I need to restart dev mode, I guess. Okay. That's weak. But anyway, but I was able to change all that Java code and just reload, so that was nice. So because I made a change to the HTML file, now I need to reload dev mode. Let's see here. Can I just simply reload this? Where's it complain? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yay! Inline styles. Okay. Cool. Okay, now I've got a fixed width board. Oh, interesting. It's not exactly 6 wide. So I wonder if we can mess with that real quick. Set character width is 6. Set visible lines. Is there set visible characters? Set visible. Nope. Okay. Well, that I'm not super buzzed about, but I'm just going to leave it for that. So we can move on and see more interesting things. So this is how, okay, so right, what am I doing? I'm building my UI, I'm tweaking things, I'm adding some Java code, and then, okay, I need to do some CSS to make it look the way I wanted. That's neat. And so I'm going to commit this. So let's see here. What did I change? That stuff. Oh, that's the HTML. Great. So this is made the text area a fixed width monospace font. Right. Okay, the next thing is when I put a number here and it loses keyboard focus. So if I want to say, oh, I want it to be like 8 by 8, what I want to be able to say is 8 by 8 and then have it automatically update that. Update the size of the text area. So what I need to do is then now I want something to happen when I interact with this. So I need to start registering listeners, event handlers, on the widgets, which I have lost track of. Okay, create settings panel. Okay, so now on my width, we're going to say width dot add change handler. Yeah, how about a change handler? New change handler. On change. Okay, get a change event. What's in my event? Get associated type. Get. Oh no. Okay, I don't do it that way. Okay. So this, and actually let's just alerter.alert, it's like the width changed. The width changed. Let's just see what this says. Oops. Okay, so now I change it to 8. The width changed! Yay! Okay, so what did I do here? I said, okay, I have my width widget. Oh, it's hard for me to say. And I said, hey, listen, register a change handler so that when the value in that widget changes, do something. Right now I'm alerting, but now what I want to do is I want to do the following. So I want to say what I want to do is I want to then set the width of the editor of the board to be the same as this width value. So let's see here. Int value equals integer dot parseInt of width dot get value. Okay. And, well, let's see here. Let's just put up that alerter again. The width is value. Reload. 9. The width is 9. So what did I do here? Yes.
So now that you've started doing something, you have to start doing edge cases. Like,
Yep.
where if they put a letter, and how do I start testing that? And how does it
Ah! Yeah, all right. So yeah, you need to do that. So so let's see here. Let's make ourselves a method, which is, and we'll call it get integer. Yeah, meh. Get int value of a text box. And now let's say try catch number format exception. And actually, let's put this up into one of these guys. Oops. And then now let's alert, oops, to say invalid integer. Oops. Like that. Didn't like something. Oh, and then oh, interesting. Have a return -1. That's probably not the right thing to do. We can figure that out later. Right, that's not good. So probably this, and then so what we should do then is pass in the current value, and call this text box, and then it should return the current value, and then, so then here, oh, that is annoying. We should, well, we'll just return 6 for the time being, and we'll fix that later. So now here, if we try to do 8, it's all happy with the width being 8. If we try to do I, it says invalid integer I, and then returns back to 6, which is the default, doesn't display it. So anyway, you can fix all that logic though. But yes, it's error handling again. Yep.
So I guess this is where I ask the question again. Like, so we're basically splitting from that whole TDD idea just because of the way we're doing this. It's more kind of QA testing.
Yeah. Yes. And so here again, if we had 2 more weeks of the course, we would have part 1 of the project is doing it like this and start doing it the ugly way, and then model view presenter, and it's great, and but it really, model view presenter takes things to yet another level, and if you're not like comfortable with this, it's just not going to make sense. It's just going to be too abstract for you. So I think the progression of the learning ought to be sort of do it the ugly way, and know in the back of your heads that there is a better way to do it, that you can't do it with TDD, and ask the department to offer it in a term that we have 10 weeks instead of 8. Okay. Sweet. Okay. So do that. And we want to do the same thing on height. Yes, we want to do the same thing on height. Add change handler. New change handler. And want the same thing here. Here it's going to be height. No. It doesn't like it without an X. Yeah, one of those. Let's reload. Width is 8. Height is 9. Okay, all that seems to work. That's cool, but still not what I want to do. What I want to do is I want to set the height and width of the board. Now I don't have access to the board in this method, so I should give it access to the board. So here, the editor, I want to pass in to here now. I'll just provide it right there. And yes, please add that as the first parameter. And I want to do the following. I want to say I really want to combine these two. And, oh yeah, height isn't, okay. Height isn't available yet, so I will make it available. I'll put width up there too. It's kind of interesting the way you need to structure some of your code. And you know what? I'm just going to put all this into a method, which is going to be called set editor dimensions. Oh, and I need to pass in the editor also. And now I want to say width, let's call it W, and we'll call this one H. Yeah. And then what we want to say is editor dot set visible lines. That would be the width, I think. Did I get it wrong? Visible lines, you're right, that's the height. Yeah, height. And then editor dot set character width, and that's the width. Yeah. Okay. Now let's reload our application. See what happens. Now we have 10 by. Oh, yep, nice. 10 by 15. Oh, that one didn't seem to take. Oh, haha, because why didn't that take? Yeah, I didn't do this. So set editor dimensions with width and height and editor. Once more with feeling. 10, oops, 16. That's a fine height, and then 25. Yay, look at all that. Cool. Okay. That's neat. I'm going to get rid of those alerts because they're super annoying. Yes?
So, okay, you're getting rid of the alerts. On the alerts, is there a way to change that like garbage address?
Nope. That's the browser's fault. That's the way the browser works. Yep. Got to inline these two also, because why not? There we go. Nice and clean now. We still got to do something about... Oh. And here, let's just do editor dot get visible lines as a default, and then editor dot get character width. There we go. Those are nice defaults. Okay, so once more, and actually, let's do something else. Let's Because what I really want is okay. Yeah, I'm going to undo this. Let's see here. That's height, width. I want another method here, which is a different version. Editor dimensions, and I want to move that up. And I want to move this up. And I want to call that width. I want to call that height. That's all good. Okay, now I want to inline these. And so then I can... That's too long. I don't like that. And so then I can call this method, the set editor dimensions, up here with the initial one. So I can say set editor dimensions. Oops. Yeah. With the 6x6 and editor. There. I eliminated a little bit of duplicate code right there. Okay. Okay, so now we have this, and when we make it huge, yay, by 4. Yay, we make it small. Okay. Cool. Not really, because it's hot. Let's take a break here, and then let's come back and figure out what we need to do to play the game. What that means and how all that works. So let's take 10. See you back when the big hand is on the 10. It's Miller time. Oh, that's all right. Okay, so then what's running? Oh, yeah, that should stop. Okay, let's check this in. No, what is all that stuff? Yeah, let me just check this in real quick, and I'll be right with you. Let me turn off the recording also. When the value of the height or width changes, update the size of the